Hi, this is Kumaragil. In this topic, we are going to discuss about engineering experiment versus standard experiment. First, we'll discuss about the similarity between these two. First, let us consider, okay, so both engineering experiment as well as standard experiments are carried out in partial uncertainty. Okay, so here partial uncertainty stands for so we are not completely aware of the output. We are not completely clear about the output. Always, so we will carry it out with certain uncertainty. Okay. So for an example, so let us consider. Okay. So let us consider, and if you consider a PN junction diode, right, barrier potential of PN junction diode, right? So its value will be 0.6 volt, okay, 0.6 to 0.7. But sometimes, so either before to 0.55 or so nearby values, it starts to conduct. It is due to what? It is due to the variation in the carrier present between PN junction layer. Okay, so there might be always some uncertainty will be there in the engineering project, similar to the standard experiment. Similarly, so let us consider the next cases. Final outcome of engineering project are also uncertain. How final outcome of engineering project are also uncertain because let us consider see the output of a standard experiment. Okay, output of a standard experiment, always we cannot tell that what always the output will be 100% efficient. Always there will be some deviation in the output, right? So even in your engineering experiment also, your output will not be 100% perfect. There will be some deviation present in it. So next is about engineering experiment requires thorough knowledge about the product at the pre-production as well as the post-production stages. Right? These are the similarities of engineering experiment versus standard experiment. Okay. So now, then what could be the difference? Contrast with standard experiment or experimental control. So experimental control, so normal standard experiment where so before we do right, we need so we cannot implement it for entire people. So we'll take some samples of people and we will implement. For an example, during COVID, what they did. So did they give to everyone? Obviously not at all. Okay, so they gave to samples of people, right? They gave for testing, right? From the observation, what they got, they conclude for the entire people. Okay, but but your engineering experiment where we cannot do like that. For an examples, you are going to manufacture a car, right? You cannot take samples, right? Because anyone can use the car around the world. Okay, the way they drive, the way they the way their road conditions, all those are the factors. Okay, so as like standard experiment here we cannot take as samples and we cannot do the experiment. Okay, so next is about informed consent. Right. So here in engineering experiment where you need to explain informed consent in the sense you need to explain the person who are going to be the sample for your project. Okay. So you need to explain them what are the causes, right? So how the people will get, does they have any health issues later on after involving in your experiment? You need to inform. Okay. Then finally about conclusive remarks. Conclusive remarks in the sense. So as we stated earlier, right, we will have some uncertainty. So conclusive remarks in the sense based on various analysis. Yes, based on various samples outputs. So now, as an engineer, we need to come to some conclusive remarks. Okay. So these are all the similarities and dissimilarities between engineering experiment versus standard experiment. So now let us discuss about engineer as a responsible experimenter. So under this, first we'll discuss about conscientiousness, then about relevant information, moral autonomy, and accountability. First is about conscientiousness. So conscientiousness in the sense what? So whatever work we do, right, engineer has to keep in mind that what you need to you need to serve to the people or to the end user, which you need to keep in its mind. Okay. So next is about relevant information. So relevant information for an example. So let us consider, right? Let us consider you are working in an industries where so you are going to manufacture knife. Okay. So knife could be used for cooking purpose, for cutting vegetables, fruits, so on and on. Also, knife can be used for unethical activities also. Okay, so now as an engineer, that you need to know, you need to get various information, right? How your product is going to be utilized by the end user. Okay, if it is going to create negative impact, then we should not encourage it. Okay, next. Next is about moral autonomy. So, or what is meant by autonomy? Autonomy is nothing but what based on your experience, whatever you had in your life, able to take a decision by your own, which is nothing but moral autonomy, right? So, what does it mean? First is about conscientiousness, where we focus mostly on the end user, right? End user. Then we get relevant information, right? We need to know what. So, our product or experiment is going to use for betterment of the people or some other purpose. Based on this information, you need to take the decision whether to do some experiment or not. Okay, which comes under moral autonomy. Then what about accountability? Accountability in the sense what? So nowadays, right? So if you have a project, right, where n number of peoples will work in a project, and the project will be subdivided into various part, and each and every people will work, right, and they will contribute a portion of the project, right, where each and everyone should be appreciated for their work. Okay, this is nothing but what accountability. Thank you.